think it's easier to contradict yourself than to align yourself to thoughts that give you a perspective that is pretty much mundane. In the contrary, as life continues on, the idea of translating a life with meaning and desire and discipline can lead to the ultimate life of satisfaction. Despite the curtails of life, the obstacles, the barriers, the boundaries that you feel is insistently difficult to achieve, it makes life even more difficult to get to a life that you feel gives you enough meaning. The desire to live a life that is fulfilled and meaningful is what people feel is important. However, with the calamities of mental health, depression, anxiety, and other sorts of disabilities that may exist, or precursors to physical ailments that lead to a difficult life, can really alter the perspective and the journey of life. Our response to this is that in spite the pain, in spite the difficulties, the barriers, the boundaries, it is important to align yourself to the ideologies of positivity. And I struggle with this sadly, but for someone that is pretty negative and seems to sulk into negativity, even I have something to learn. I think that it may be difficult to even give you advice regarding this because I am so horrible when it comes to dealing with such dilemmas that I'm not even sure I can give any advice that has meaning other than to say the opposite of what I'm thinking. So for someone that listens to music that is depressive and negative and dreary, full of darkness, it is difficult to lift yourself out of the darkness called life. For someone with bipolar disorder, the insistent mind frame of dealing with such hardship can somehow eliminate itself if you turn your personality or your ideologies or your perspective and the inherent paradigms in life. It could really alter the perspective and the journey of your experience. In such mind frame, there is a conclusive ailment that is projected when you live a fulfilled life. Success, money, fame, fortune, or whatever familiar or perhaps spiritual and the physicality of life can give you a sense of meaning and purpose. So try to look for that. Try to reach a destination that you feel is worth living. I think that it is important to idolize or have hope. Try to give yourself the opportunity to distance yourself from your identity and live a more constructive, non-judgmental life. I feel that can really help. Now, loneliness and death, which is a cycle of life, a circle that you could call it, the circumference that you deal with from life to death, back to death to life, etc., etc. It's very hard to accept it, and acceptance is so important when it comes to dealing with the hardships, the guilt, the dread, and anything that may make you feel sick. The sickness is unhealthy and it can portray a difficult life that will amend itself if you only try to search for what you feel is what you claim as your own identity. It is possible that in spite everything that you come across, positive, negative, or in between, it is all part of the experience. Success, losses, count your successes and try to minimize your lifeless or negative or failures. Try to take a perspective in which you can alter or change these situations and turn it into something that is more positive. I think that this is so hard that, yeah, I can tell you guys to do this and that, but how can I give advice if I don't even follow it? So I have a tendency to just talk about things that just kind of flow through my mind, and whether it makes sense or not, you may find that this makes sense or not, that you may be able to align with some of these ideologies that I struggle to deal with. The action is so important when it comes to the idea that you descend from, and you can only ascend to the top if you breathe more concrete and non-judgmental and ability to content yourself with the purpose of a better life. It can really suck if you feel binded or encumbered with a concrete wall that you are trying to lift up the whole world on your shoulders, per se. It can be really, really challenging, and I don't know, maybe, just maybe, that if you find the right perspective or the right aha message that is being insisted into the mind frame, that it can alleviate the depression, anxiety, and try to constrict these negative things into an ability to lift yourself into the heaven of life, the good of life, the goodness that is within yourself, on the mentality or the physicality or the spirituality of whatever you feel might be insistent when the clarity is defined. When you reach this ascendance, or you could say it is a development, or maybe the ideology that is found in Buddhism, an enlightenment, or the meaning or the distance to achieve the race that you meet the finish line. In essence, there is a formality and a professionalistic life that can develop when the ideas align with the actions, and it's the actions that can turn into a more concrete genetic ideology that will be ingrained underneath the skin, the mind, the heart, the body, and whatever is within yourself. Sometimes what is in yourself can alter the perspectives on how you feel on the outside. When this whittles, the outside can weaken and the inside deteriorates. When life insists, persists, and consists of something with an alignment, the journey is so much easier. It's so weird because I'm constantly negative, but in the meantime, the more negative you think that you become more negative. But for me, I find it a little cathartic to have an expression of honesty and truth. And sometimes it's hard to differentiate what is good and what is bad. But for me, music is cathartic. Creativity, artistry, and the act of defiance, negative per se, can somehow heal in the meantime, as long as you take a non-judgmental, honest, truthful approach to the decisions that are being produced. Within this thought process, the solution literally is in your face, no matter how hard it is or how unrealistic it is. It is very difficult to take an action that is uncomfortable and you believe something when you really don't believe it. So keep that in mind. I struggle on a daily basis, and maybe after being able to sort of judge this decision making, which has led to actions that have gave me a difficult task, I feel like maybe I'm redefining this scenario and breathe a new path that may reach towards the light that is escaping the prolificity of the darkness that is in store. I think that what is more important is that you find a goal and you try to reach it. The smaller the goal, the more increments you can take for the success that is seemingly more easier to reach. Is this increment, this kaizen as they call it in Japan. It is important to take these small steps to gauge a better future. One small step is many small steps, which leads to a large step, which can concretely change the perspective of your life. Once more, let's repeat. Negativity breeds negativity, positivity breeds positivity, but honesty, truth can also define a more vulnerable lifestyle that will lead, hopefully, to the development of the life that you deserve and want and need. Beyond food, water, shelter, it consists of something that reaches a higher power. This is beyond the scope of God, but within yourself for the most part, that gives you the hope that is increasingly needed in these hardships of life. So keep that in mind and try to take this with a grain of salt, that the journey is never ending. It continues from death to life, life to death. It's just hard to accept the end path, but hopefully in the end you can reincarnate that soul. Believe that soul still exists when you're recycled into death and decay and desperation and guilt and damage and you could say these contraries, these negativities of life. Hopefully it will reach a future in which you deserve. Thanks, this is Travis Baylitz with Beyond Bipolar Blog. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell button for future videos. Take care, have a good one, bye.
Anyways, this is just a shameless plug, but I produce music. I have over 270 tracks, including songs, instrumentals, and beats. These are 2 physical albums. One is a piano album, right here, and the other one is orchestral album. The piano album has 17 tracks. The orchestral album has 19 tracks. They're on sale for $5 a piece or $8 for both of them. These are really original. I know not a lot of people have CDs, but it'd be great for any donations if you want to buy them. What makes it personal is that the original art is by Kyle and me, and one is a graphic art, and the other one is acrylic artwork that Kyle and I done together. Anyways, that ties something else, which I also do art, so I do hyper-realistic artwork. As you can see here, just some examples. And I do airbrush portraits, and as stated before, I do abstract acrylic work that I often do sometimes with my brother. But anyways, please go to lift.bio/monopark. Once again, it's lift.bio/monopark, MANHOPRK. So please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. Take care, have a good one, bye.
안녕하세요. Hello, this is Travis and Kyle. We are both artists and we focus on hyper-realistic drawings, acrylic work, airbrush work. I also wanted to mention that we actually have our own channel as well. Our channel is Korean Adoptee Stories, and we interview a lot of adoptees. We found that with adoption, there's quite a few adoptees that struggled, unfortunately, and did not have the best kind of life, and a lot of them had mental health issues. We felt like it was important because we can kind of struggle with that.